Good evening and welcome to The Probe. Tonight we are focusing on the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA. We'll explore the pivotal role SIGA plays in enhancing transparency and accountability within government operations in Ghana. Is it really functioning in that regard or simply a creation to duplicate roles of existing ministries? Our focus will be on assessing SIGA's influence and its effort to ensure that specified entities like SOEs, JVCs, OSEs are managed with utmost integrity and efficiency. And thankfully, the Director General of the State's Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, is our guest tonight. We'll be getting to him shortly. But of course, let's take a look at the specific functions. And then there was a report in 2021. Let's take a look at what we know. So we know that SIGA was created to oversee and administer the state interest in state-owned enterprises, joint venture, you've been hearing me talking about JVCs and other state entities, which I would name as OSEs, and to provide for related matters. Going on, we know the functions of the authority. If you do not know, they are to evaluate the mandate of state-owned enterprises and other state entities and make recommendations to the relevant sector minister. They are also to evaluate the strategic plans and organizational structures of state-owned enterprises, as well as other state entities, and make recommendations to relevant sector ministers. These are key questions we'll be asking. Has that happened? What exactly is the status of that? They are also supposed to monitor and evaluate the performance of joint venture companies, also ensure that dividends due the state are paid by specific entities. They are also to advise the sector minister on policy matters for effective corporate governance of specified entities. The minister in this question, according to the law, is supposed to be the finance ministry. And then also they are to monitor and evaluate the performance of joint venture companies. We've been talking about that. Also assist the minister responsible for finance to assess borrowing levels of state-owned enterprises. The key thing people have been talking about since we put this out is state-owned enterprises that are making losses over the period. What exactly happens to them? These are more our questions we'll be finding answers to. We go on, and the functions were a bit many, but entities covered by SIGA, as we know. The JVCs, as we know now, about 35 of them, but of course, the Director General himself will be telling us more. SOEs, we know 49, and then 55 other state enterprises. So in all, 139. The entity types we've been talking about, the state-owned enterprises, the joint venture companies, and other state enterprises, 44,165, which makes 65%. That's the number of employees that these state-owned enterprises have. With the joint venture companies, according to that report, we know that 20%, which is 14,056 number of employees that make up our joint venture companies. Other state enterprises, that's 10,125, which makes 15%. And then in all, total employees under SOEs, joint ventures, and other state enterprises, we know it comes up to 68,346. That's the figures that we have. And then let's take a look at the revenue and expenses, which is the key topical issue for many. And the revenue we've seen, this is for the 2021 state-owned enterprises sector, and that report that we've seen so far. The revenue we've seen is 56.2 billion. Expenses, 54 billion. Profit before tax, 2.1 billion. And profit after tax, minus 1.73 billion. Ghana cedis. That's what we are talking about in terms of what we've seen so far and the report that was put out in 2021. We go on further to take a look at the constituent loss-making SOEs. Average, that's for the year 2017 to 2021. That's the year in review that we are looking at. TEMA Oil Refinery, very topical company, has come up 260.7 million Ghana cedis. That's the average loss made from 2017 to 2021. The Ghana Water Company Limited, interestingly, finds itself here as well, is 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, average loss made from 2017 to 2021. We don't know whether it's improved between 2021 and 2024. These are things we'll be looking at. The Ghana Cocoa Board is here as well, 687.9 million Ghana cedis. The Ghana Road Fund also finds itself here, 871.6 million Ghana cedis in terms of losses, average losses made between 2017 and 2021. We have other companies we'll be taking a look at. Then JVCs. We know that these JVCs, most of them, some of them mining companies, and then the minority companies, where the state has interest in, up to 10% and more we are talking about. Revenues that we've seen the JVCs give us, 33.72 billion Ghana cedis, and then expenses, 25.79 billion. Profits before tax, 7.9 billion. Profit after tax is 4.87 billion, where we are doing a bit better. What about other state enterprises? We'll take a look at it. But these are the consistent losses. We have Vodafone, PBC, Metro Mass Transport, Intercity STC also there, made some average losses. The figures are here, 270.1, 89.0, 27.5 million, and 32.0 million. That's the state when it comes to the 2021 SOR report that was put out by SIGA in connection or in conjunction with the ministry as well. But these are issues. I would want you to ponder over these figures. Don't forget the numbers, because I'll need your contributions and questions in this regard as well. The probe is live on the Joy News channel on Joy 99.7 FM. We are on DSTV channel 41, Govt TV is 125. We are live on myjournalline.com and all our social media platforms. My guest tonight is the Director General of SIGA, John Boadu. You're welcome to the probe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's always good to see you. But the key question for many is, where have you been? Is it just me, or it's been a while since we saw John Boadu and heard from you?
Well, I was with you, remember, towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And, you know, after the elections, I have to also take a back seat and monitor what is going on. And as a senior member of the party, I have other roles that I play. Most often, if you are talking about seeing me, then I must be on air. No, not all the time. You know, sometimes you need to put our opponents in perpetual confusion, so you don't have to do a lot of things there. We've just put out our campaign team. We are on it, planning for it. Just yesterday, we finished with our total campaign plan that structured the campaign down to the polling station. And this is the work that we've been doing so far.
Is the quest to breaking the 8 still on course, you'd say?
It is possible. It is possible, because if you consider the things that we've done over the last 8 years, if you look at even SIGA, it's one of the flagship programs of the party and government, because looking at the consistent losses that are being made and the kind of systems that we've put in place, it has really, really reduced a lot of these challenges. And because many of these challenges, well, they've done all kinds of research over the years, but you and I know that bad corporate practices, sometimes political interference, mismanagement and all that, and more importantly, non-compliance to their own regulations are some of the reasons for these losses.
Let's not drink the soup on the fufu. We'll talk about it. But really, in recent times, I've seen a lot of the branches of your party. It looks like a number of citations they keep giving you, amongst others. It appears your party misses you. Is that the case, or what exactly is happening?
Well, they don't have to miss me. I'm still there. So only that, you know, most often after you leave the scene and people knowing what you've done over the years. I came in at a time that was one of the most turbulent times of our party towards 2016, and from where we were coming from, almost just over 100 seats in parliament, and we were in opposition. We managed to work with the entire party, particularly our external branches. We developed new strategies of getting them not only to fund the party at the local level, but get involved in linking them up with the constituencies. And this is the result that we saw. So it is not surprising that a lot of my party people feel that we've done a lot. But that is the past.
It's definitely not going to be put in the past. These are key issues that we'll get to talk about as well, plus your role at SIGA and what exactly is happening with SIGA. This is The Probe. I am MFR Pau. My guest is the Director General of SIGA, John Boadu. Please stay with us. We're right back after the probe. You're welcome back to tonight's edition of The Probe, live on Joy News. We're also on Joy 99.7 FM. My guest for tonight is the Director General of State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, John Boadu. You've been hearing him before the break, and he's poised for action, says that campaigning is on, amongst others. But really, do you have a key role that you're playing in this campaign?
Yes. Apart from being a senior advisor to the presidential candidate, I'm a key member of the Electoral Affairs Committee.
Okay.
And I think that's where the action is. So.
That's where the action is. Yeah. Could there be more? Because there are those who say that maybe John Boadu should have been in the front line much more than what we are seeing in terms of being at the back amongst
Well,
them?
you see, as for running of political party, sometimes it's not just the name, the position.
Okay.
It's your ability to turn things around. And for me, the team put together is a solid team that if we put our art together, get the proper funding at the right time, we'll deliver.
Is the NPP as it stands now and the candidates that you have as marketable as it ought to be, you'd say?
As for our candidates, there's no doubt about the fact that if you look at the two main parties, NPP, NDC, our candidates in terms of intellect, in terms of initiative, in terms of articulation, in terms of background, in terms of delivery, has done so much, even though he's not the main person, like he's not the president, but even as vice, he started as one of the most visible vice presidents we've ever had in this country. And for us to have him as our candidate, more so when this election is going to be an election of the two nothness, you understand? And taking New Patriotic Party, we've run this country for 16 years. The NDC has also done so. Now we have two candidates, thankfully, coming from the north. So I will even forget about NPP, NDC. Let us assess the two. Which of them can we trust? Which of them is hardworking? Which of them will come back to us to demand our mandate again? As a result, we'll work towards achieving the mandate that we gave to.
And it will be
him.
the NPP.
And this is the New Patriotic Party. This is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So I don't think that we have a challenge with our candidate at all. With regards to the party, like I told you, we are putting the structures together. We've been a bit late in terms of the running of the party. But from where I sit, I think that we are on track. And given the strong nature of our party, you know, we have a system that collates results within 6 hours. We've even gone further. We've even gone further this time around. And the party's campaign is going to talk to almost everybody because we know where everybody in this country is. You understand? So I want to just assure our party members that we are in a good place. The Electoral Commission is going to...
Even in spite of the state of affairs of
yes,
this particular country?
State of affairs, if you look around the world, we are not the only ones that are going through these challenges that the whole world faces. You understand? In the midst...
Are we not tired of this particular narrative?
But what else will you say? That we are... Or is it not true that almost everywhere in the world, inflation is high, capital assessment is low in most countries. Lots of the countries are going through IMF prescriptions. Prices are extremely high and all that. And this is nothing to... That's why I said that from what we've done, from the resources that we've had, and the kind of things that we've been able to achieve within 8 years, there's no way, if it is just the NDC, I don't think we have a match at all. But, you know, as for elections, a lot of things go into it. We are now seeing other political parties coming up, independent candidates. So all will be factored into the kind of arrangement that we put in place to ensure that we'll have one-touch victory in 2024.
We are waiting for the running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. From where you sit, how is it looking?
Mahmoud Bawumia was... nominated in August 2008. So we know we still have more.
We're told April.
We still have more time to go. And like I said, it is nobody's right to become a running mate. You want to become president, contest. We open nominations. So this noise about I should have it, I should not have it, and creating all kinds of challenges, I think that is something that must be stopped. Because even if the flag bearer chooses one person, which we've seen over the years, National Council can decide that, no, we won't go with this person. We'll give you the opportunity to change the person and bring another person. We've done so. In 2008, we did it about 4 times before we arrived, because even in terms of the equation, Dr. Bawumia was nowhere near who becomes our running mate at that time. It also happened to us in the year 2000. In terms of equation, if we wanted a Nodna and Dakumba, it is not Aliu Mama. We had people, we had Malik Alassane, who was then the youth organizer of the party, was the MP for Yendi. We are talking about Yendi. But in the wisdom of the flag bearer and the National Council. Yes, there were some few grumblers. Yeah. At the end of the day, when the decision was made, we realized that that decision was the best decision to make at that time.
Are you looking at a Christian or from Ashanti? We've seen a lot of talk that it ought to come from the Ashanti region. At least there's a lot of calls for that. We can clear this out of the way, then we can focus on SIGA.
For me, it's not a question of looking at a Christian or not, but we have a tradition of trying to balance our tickets. We are the only party, if I'm talking about New Patriotic Party and the NDC. NDC had gone into elections with 2 Christians. They've gone into elections with not balancing the ticket. We have consistently, from 1992 to date, tried to have a candidate
and that will continue
to represent the southern sector, a candidate that represents the northern sector, a candidate that professes either Christianity, and a candidate that... And I think that we will not depart from that. Now that we've been able, to the annoyance of naysayers, the New Patriotic Party cannot get a candidate from the north. We've broken that. So you can see that breaking the 8 is in the offing. We've broken that.
We are never taking a female candidate.
We are not going
looking at that.
We are not going. The next time we get a female candidate, you'll be the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. We are not going to use females as added-ons to our party structure and governance structure. So don't worry. The next time you see New Patriotic Party, because it's been difficult, we've broken this cycle of non-Akan as our candidate. We've broken that. So for a woman, and I'm looking forward, if I join the party and very soon.
I love my job. I'm good here.
But you can still continue.
So the 3 candidates that have come up
by joining the party.
The 3 candidates that have come up so far, at least front runners. That's what we've seen so far.
I mean, I don't know.
You don't know any.
It's just names that have been mentioned by supporters and friends, and I don't know of any. Because, like I said, this is not a bona fide of anybody.
Okay.
So supporters of individuals, I just mentioned it. This should not lead to unnecessary acrimony that we are seeing in the party. And I think that it's important that we maintain so. And I have stated, and I continue to state, that whoever is even appointed or nominated by Omia have to get the acceptance of the National Council. Okay. And it is possible whoever you are supporting, if he is nominated, may not get approval from the National Council. So everybody should calm down. Our main job is to win the elections. We have a very good candidate. We have a very good party structure. It is how to develop our message in such a way that MFA and other people will appreciate that, yes, there are challenges. We are going through challenges as a country, just as all other countries are going to. But within the challenges, we've been able to chalk these achievements with the kind of resources that we have. Okay. Nobody should shy away from debating the fact that New Patriotic Party, in terms of achievement, has done so much. I don't think there's any party in this country that has been able to do so. We'll come to our main topic, and you see
but I'm seeing, at least in 2021, that report that we are talking about, the top 10 SOEs by total asset book value. I see ECG, and you know where I'm going with this. I see Volta River Authority, I see Bui Power Authority, I see Ghana Gas, Ghana Cocoa Board, in spite of the losses that they made from 2017 to 2021, at least by asset book value, they are your top 10. But ECG, I see that you have, some oversight over them, at least they are SOEs under SIGA. What exactly is the report you're getting when it comes to power situation?
One thing you must notice that most of these organizations are not necessarily set up to make profits. Some of them are for the provision of social good for the citizens of this country. What SIGA does is to ensure that their own program, regulations, in terms of good governance, are respected, and their own targets are achieved, taking into consideration the social environment they find themselves. That's exactly what we've been doing. Like the figures that you quoted rightly, it is 2021 figures. We've not yet finished with the SOR for 2022, 2023. Okay. And there was some backlog. We even just issued out that of 2021. But I can assure you, by May, we'll be done with the 2022 SOR. By August, we'll be done with 2023. So that will clear the 2 backlogs that we have. Then we will become current, because SORs are supposed to be prepared 9 months after the previous year's. So backlog for 2022 alone, not 2023. You understand? So 2021... It looks like
SIGA itself, you are not going according to plan.
You see, there's a lot of things involved. If you check, you realize that 2021, the number of entities covered were 139. As we speak now, it's 175.
Okay, that's the number
175.
State-owned enterprises.
Yeah. We have JVC. Then let me give you the details of the breakdown quickly. Okay. SOEs 53, JVCs 47, and other specified entities 75. So that we now have 175. And even with the 175 that we've had, if you check those that have signed performance contract with us, you realize that there's marked improvement, but we need to do a lot, because if you check from 2016, it was just 6 entities. 2017, 25 entities. 2020, 63. As of 2023, 73 entities have signed performance, and this year we expect to sign close to 85. We're looking at 100. A few of them, they need to be propped up. They need to
But the last time we were told that 80 companies were supposed to sign that performance contract. I would want to even know what exactly their performance were from that performance contract and assessment of it.
I'm saying that as of 2023, we have 73 signed. Okay. And I'm saying this year, 2024, we are going to get minimum 85. We intend to hit 100 this year. You understand? So clearly you see that there's marked improvement in terms of these entities coming under the control of SIGA, sitting down and agreeing. It's not a question of imposing anything on them. Look at the objective. You see, one thing that I say, and with time, that's why under Ghana SOE's reform program, GASOC, funded by AFD, we've come to agreement to do a comprehensive report for 16 SEs. Okay. That spans through all the industries. Do a comprehensive report, look at it, because my major problem is that some of these entities, their objective for setting them up have changed. The market cases for setting them up have changed. That's why you see a company into, let's say, VRA, for instance. They are into the helping in distribution of electricity. They will be into transport, they will be into real estate, they will be into provision of health, provision of education and all that. It was good at that time. But at that time, we had then established it with incumbent other people's resources from the places that they give it out for free for us. So that service is there. And all those services add to the losses they are making. You understand? So now what they've been able to do, they've started hiving off some of these important institutions and running them as business. Okay. So for instance, if you go to VRA now, their hospitals run as a business, although there's social component part of it, to reduce their losses. If you take a company like GCD, Ghana Consolidated Diamond Company, for instance. They have vast land, sometimes unnecessary, and it runs at a cost. They have a hospital that used to not take even a penny from anybody from Akweti. They go to hospital for free. You must.
So how are we realigning?
Fantastic. We've been able to hive it out. Now it is running on its own as a business entity and not making losses anymore. Okay. They have a school that they are running now as a business entity, and they are doing so well. We have empowered them to, so we have administrators and board specifically for them to run as an entity. So some of these losses that you see as a result of the kind of object of the company as at that time. You understand? So these are the kind of things that we are doing to reduce the losses that they are making, because they have huge, huge potential to make a lot of profit for us as a country. Look, if you check financial statements, as at 2016, only 18 entities file either their draft or audited financial statement. As we speak now, even as at SOR report for 2021, 147 has been able to file their financial.
And what does the books look like? Is it impressive? What exactly? From where you sit with oversight?
The more we oversight them, the more we throw light on their activities, the more they sign performance contracts with them, the more we also monitor, evaluate. We have field officers that go to them all the time. We are able to determine how resources should be apportioned in order to make it more efficient and more effective. So you can see that since then, we've been improving. For instance, if you take the number of companies that were added to the whole national accounting, now we've moved from central government accounting, working with Controller and Accountant General, the Audit Service. We are now preparing a national accounting of the entire country that takes care of the central government activities, central government assets and liabilities, SOEs, assets and liabilities, and that of the MMDAs. You'll be surprised to know that it is not the central government that holds a lot of the assets of our country. When you check from what was done, this year we are on track, we are current. We've been able to do the national accounting. It is now with the Auditor General for its assessment, and it will come back to Parliament and all that. It is rather the MMDAs that have the chunk of the assets. To what extent do we monitor the use of those assets? Why is it that as a country, we go in for loan, use the loan to build roads, but we don't consider the roads as our assets? So if you are talking about debt to GDP ratio, you are only looking at the government, central government GDP as against the debt that government had contracted. And that gives a higher exposure of government. But now that we've been able to amalgamate all the assets and the liabilities, and you know, it is for that reason why our debt to GDP ratio moved from 65% to over 100% because they've now added SOE's debt as part of the entire government. If that has been done, then SOE's assets, MMDA's assets should also be added. You realize that, after all, our exposure may not be that much.
But what happens? What happens in the case of entities, SOEs, JVCs, that make losses over the period? At least we know that if an entity is making losses over the period, there should be some intervention of a sort that will come up. There have been suggestions that some of these companies should be privatized, to go into private hands. Some of them also should be floated on the stock exchange, amongst others. Over the period, we haven't seen any concrete measures that have been taken, or any sanctions for that matter, to CEOs who are in the helm of affairs of these companies that are making losses over the period.
Like I told you, let's make a distinction between SOEs that were solely established to make profit and SOEs that were established at least maybe to break even. You understand? Because, for instance, if you take ECG, all that we need to ensure is that they are more efficient in their operations, they are adapting modern ways of doing business in their operations, they are looking at best practices.
Is that happening?
They are doing a lot. I've been working with them. They are doing a lot. The kind of changes that ECG has brought within the past 5 years, you'll be surprised. They used not to get even the little they are getting now. Now they are getting a huge part of the sale of their electricity. You understand? So let's make a decision.
But of course, we've heard that their debts are not being paid, amongst others. But really,
I agree. It is the cash waterfall arrangement. Wait, it's a cash waterfall arrangement that was not working, which has been resolved now. A specific percentage has been given. Even there was a proposal that says that in these modern times, if you are receiving money on my behalf and there's a percentage I should get, it should be deducted as source. You understand? It should be deducted as source so that one person don't decide whether I want to pay. But the danger is that if you are not very careful and ECG is not able to deliver, you go through the doomsaw again. You understand? So it's to say that it's been
the situation we faced has been resolved entirely?
To a large extent, there was some serious meetings went on last 2 weeks between the minister and even the president. And some agreement has been reached which will lead to marked improvements on the liquidity of these organizations, because a lot of the organizations also depend on them for their survival. Coming back to, for instance, Cocoa Board, I think that it is high time. And like I told you, we are going to, Cocoa Board is part, Cabinet has agreed to the 16 entities that we've chosen. Cocoa Board is going to be part of the 16 that a comprehensive report of, at least, the first of all, of its mandate and object. Which country in the world, let me tell you, which country, let me tell you, I'm saying that which country in the world operates like Cocoa Board is operating in the cocoa industry? Almost all the countries producing, particularly Cote d'Ivoire, we don't have a humongous organization like Cocoa Board that determines prices, when to pay, nobody has a right to buy. Somebody put up his farm and you determine the price for the person. You go ahead and buy fertilizers, buy a Wellington boot, buy torchlight. Possibly it is not what the person is looking at. So the real objective, as opposed to what was the beginning and the reason for it. Can you believe that Nigeria moved away from this kind of arrangement right in 1980-something? The fear that, it creates employment. They have over 10,000 staff on their list. Is it prudent to have them 10,000?
But how soon would that decision be taken?
So, like I'm saying, you can't just do it in vacuum. You need proper data to back you. You need proper alignment of what they are doing with entities under them. It is because of that that PBC is also suffering.
Yes.
Take a competitor of PBC of same magnitude in the same industry, maybe employing about 1/10 of what PBC is employing. They may have all kinds of assets that are not directly related to the business that they are doing. So a lot of work is being done. Yes, we need to move a bit faster, but I believe strongly that from what we have done and the fact that we've been able to put together a code of corporate governance that clearly shows how management must be set up, direct responsibilities or direct, taking roots from the Companies Act and other regulations. But this time, this code of conduct guides all entities. Okay. So you have no reason not to comply. And it is part of our...
Are we seeing that level of compliance?
No, we'll be launching it very soon at our policy forum that will be organized in 23rd April at Kempinski. We'll launch it, and all entities will now know that this, because it's been approved by Cabinet, it is coming through the Act of SIGA. So all of us will now know that this is what we have to do. If we are not doing it, we must make sure that we are aligned to it.
What happens to an entity that does not do it?
We have the mandate to sanction them and possibly report them to Cabinet to President through Cabinet. We even have mandate to recommend for the removal of the entire board or SOE, the CEOs and all that. We have that mandate.
But already, yes, you have that mandate. Even before this code of conduct is coming up, that mandate is in the Act. So as part of your core functions, you are also to advise government on the appointment and removal of chief executive officers or members of the board or other governing bodies of specified entities, which CEOs are really, it's already there. Which CEOs have you been able to recommend removal?
We've not gotten there yet.
Okay.
What I'm now doing is...
But it's part of your mandate.
I'm saying that we've not gotten there yet. For instance...
Why haven't you gotten there yet? Because it's part of your mandate.
Code of Corporate Governance Code is expected to have been enacted within the last 5 years that it has existed. But you don't do it on your own. There are other laws that you need to harmonize. We are doing the Public Service Commission, Ministry of Finance, and this goes through a lot of consultation with the stakeholders involved and all that. So it's not very easy like that. With that mandate, I think that we are working with governments again on that. Of late, a lot of the issues we discussed before some of these things go out. We'll get there. We'll get to a point that...
But these CEOs, before even the appointment by government, there should be some collaboration between
That's what I'm saying. That
I'm wondering, that doesn't happen, does it?
For instance, I took over when all of them were appointed already. There's no way they could reverse it. But I'm saying that it will get to a point that working as SIGA will be prestigious.
Okay.
Because looking at the mandate, it's expected to be a specialized institution with expertise that are capable of assessing, evaluating, and monitoring these entities under us. So we are working on even their remuneration, and all, because if not, all these experts, as we develop them, because we are working with Govt, we are working with World Bank and all that, as we develop them, other institutions start poaching them.
Okay.
You understand? If you are not able to work on their remuneration package and all that. So it's very, very important.
But the SIGA itself, as compared to the Public Enterprises Ministry, there are those who mentioned or raised concerns about the duplicity of roles when it comes to these two entities. Really, what's the difference?
Public Enterprise is the oversight ministry of SIGA. SIGA was put together, two institutions were put together, Diversity Implementation Committee and State Enterprise Corporation or Committee was put together to form SIGA. Our mandates are very clear. We, through the directive of the minister, we do all these activities that, as I mentioned, in collaboration with the minister and other ministers. You understand? Because we cannot go into ECG boards without getting the minister to know that these are the challenges that we, together with them, help in resolving. You understand? So there's no conflict at all in terms of...
But let me find out, is there a house cleaning exercise of a sort going on in these states, agencies, or SOEs, I should say? In recent times, we saw what happened at the GRA, at least. There have been some explanation that has been given. We've seen the GNPC boss resign amidst a lot of issues that came up. Then recently, the issue about SNIT, also, the SNIT boss also being asked to step aside, amongst others. And that's not all. I'm sure there are more, really.
I think that is a natural consequence of events to come. Because some of them are over 60 years, age permitted for you to be CEO or DJ or something. Some of them.
But that's not the reason that was given in Dr. Tim.
I'm telling you.
GRA boss, there was an extension.
I don't know who gave you that reasons why a statement was issued by...
There was a statement that was
issued by a government that...
From the presidency.
That's what?
On Dr. Tinko's situation, why he was asked to step aside. What? It wasn't because he was underperforming.
I'm saying, I'm giving you reasons why some of these things will occur and it will continue to occur.
Okay.
That some of them...
There's a house cleaning exercise going on.
Some of them have reached their retiring age. Some of them, for purposes of aligning with the new directive of government, need to be reassigned to other institutions. There will be times, you will see very soon, that some of them will be moved around in order to ensure that there's effective supervision and ensuring that they are able to deliver on their mandate. So this shouldn't have been any news at all. It should be something that will occur all the time, changes all the time, depending on performance and depending on what government thinking is and what government directive is. So I don't think that it's a major issue.
How do you respond to comments and claims that most of these appointments are just based on political affiliation, cronyism, nepotism, as against real competence?
We've not gotten to the level where there is the Public Service Commission or Public Service Committee or any other institutions that do the appointment. It is an appointment of the president. Political consideration will be part of it. Expertise will be part of it. Competence will be part of it. If government on its own want to deliver its mandate, and you go and appoint somebody because of political consideration and the person is not able to, it will tell on your performance. So I'm not sitting here to say that there are no political, there is a political consideration. But that's why you see some of the changes going on. Some of them who are not fit for purposes are changed and others come. For instance, look at BOST as an example. I don't think you've taken interest in the activities of BOST. It used to be a loss-making organization. It used to have a situation where financials are not prepared over years. Now they are one of the best performing organizations making a lot of profit. Okay. And it's all because of lack of oversight. Because I was on the board of TOR in 2017. The last time they prepared accounts was around 2011. So on what basis were they even performing? On what basis would they even determine whether they are making losses or making profit? You understand?
It looks like TOR has become an albatross around the neck of government. What really is the plan for TOR?
Well, for government has put in place a new board. I was there on Friday to take them through a resolution to increase the number of their directors from 9 to 11, because their regulation requires that maximum should be 9. Okay. But ordinary resolution can give the mandate for them to increase the number to 11. I've asked them within a week, they should let me know what are their plans and their programs, which areas can we also help through government. You see, one thing, and sometimes it's difficult discussing it, but it is something that we must discuss as a country. You have government having 100% shares in TOR, prices of products increase in the international market for the sake of politics, that if they pass it on to the consumer, there will be noise, there will be this. Government say, oh, keep it. I'm going to support it. Government never pays. So some of these accumulated debts that you've seen as a result of our own inaction. And sometimes, like I told you, it is not only for profit.
Are they moved to sell it?
I'm saying that there's a need for us to understand beyond profit, there's social cohesion. I can also understand government. For instance, if well market price increased by 50%, can you pass it on in the name of ensuring efficiency and profitability? MFA, you lead demonstration. I'm saying that. I think
we still pay.
MFA, you lead demonstration.
I haven't led any demonstration
to remove that government. So those are the things that come into play. I think that with the establishment of code of corporate governance, if government also decide to do X, government must also do X in order to free them. Because most often, TOR, for instance, they cannot borrow on their own balance sheet.
Are you selling TOR?
Not that I know. That, like I told you, I was just there on Friday. They expected to come with their program for us to look at it. I knew that there were attempts for some arrangements that didn't go through. But that's how businesses are done. You can't have fit for all sides at all times as the business grows. You understand? Yes, there will be the need for government to come in strongly in some of these things. Government decide to even buy the debt or convert the debt to equity or something, because they are unable to operate. Even Einstein is sent there, or Elon Musk is sent to TOR, considering the way it is. Look at TOR. It has machines that its technology is in 1965. Now there's no refinery that can operate and break even without being able to produce 100,000 barrels a day. TOR at full capacity is 45,000. And even 45,000, if you give them the stock for the year, it can only operate with about 30%.
So then what would be your advice?
Capital injection.
Okay.
Introducing new ways of doing things, changing their objects. Object in 1965 does not work here. Business case in 1955 does not work in 2024. So that is exactly what government must do. Okay. Like I said, I'm taking what their plans are. We also have some thoughts about how it should be done. We recommend to the minister, sit down with government, to, if there's a need to even maintain it. It is possible that I remember once in the Ejako, Honorable Ejako, he said, I thought should be converted to tank farm. Yes, maybe that, maybe not. You understand? So these are things that we'll be looking at.
You've talked about ECG doing well, but really also the talk about GridCo amongst others. We've heard the state of GridCo, for instance. I don't know if that also now falls under the 175 state entities we've been talking about, but VRA amongst others. Really,
it does, and it's all about the sharing of the resources.
Okay.
Apart from they also having their own internal challenges that we looked at. I was at GridCo 2 weeks. I was at VRA a week before. We've sat down, we've looked at the issues and all that. And like I'm saying, thankfully, President stepped in, the Minister stepped in. There is a new arrangement that has been put in place. And we are going to see a more efficient utilization and appropriation of the resources that come. And we expect that ECG will also introduce not just smart meters. I was in UK
but I'm told there's a sort of a power play at that level, at least. We've seen letters that we have put out, at least we've intercepted some letters, communications between GridCo, ECG, and also
why won't there be power play? Why? What is wrong about power play? Yeah, there will be. If you owe me and you are not paying, I also think that maybe I need the resources to make sure there's no doomsday for me, because the moment there's light off, it is ECG and Akufo-Addo that will be mentioned. They won't mention VRA. They don't even know who runs VRA. They don't know who runs GridCo and all that. So, yes, that kind of friction is possible. Like I said, we've resolved it. So let's move on. Let's see if there are challenges as we go on. Then we can look at it again. But it's something that all of us must look at. And they must look at their operations the more. Like I told you, I was in UK last month. And I realized that they have smart meters that indicate minute by minute spending of the consumer. You understand? So you know, in our case, if you buy 100 Ghana on you don't know, by the time you realize it's off, there's no way of determining whether you've used 10 cedis or 20 cedis. These are new ways of doing things. To the extent that in our case here, where people are prepared to stay at home and work from home, they don't, because the moment you stay at home, you consume more electricity, so they will be prepared to go to work rather. You know, it provides the consumer the opportunity to be able to manage its expenses, because it's an expensive exercise. The prices there are not even the ones that we are seeing here. But the institution have an efficient way of recovering the costs, if not the entire profit. Okay.
Commander Sugar Factory is on my mind.
Frankly, I haven't done a lot of work on it. And maybe give me a week. We are covering 175 entities and all that. I haven't done a lot of work.
But is it top priority for you from where you sit?
My answer is that. Is there a proper business case for it? Is there a proper business case for it? Commander Sugar Factory was established, the thinking of it, 1960-something. The machines that was purchased recently, is it fit for purpose? Did they do proper feasibility to determine whether they'll be able to get enough? And we're told,
at least, we've seen reports about proper feasibility and all that being done under Visha among
I remember in those days, about 5 years ago, I was talking to the then Greek minister. He was talking about revamping Boadu tomato factory. The kind of feed stock from the raw tomato, to an established company like that, they must grow tomato in the whole of Upper East, the whole of Northern. But things have changed. People are now doing greenhouse farming, and with the acre, the yield is high. So it's not just about just going to put it up. All these business cases must be looked at. Their objective for setting it up must be looked at and fine-tuned to meet current exigencies. That's why in the corporate governance code, we are not only looking at the hard part of it, we are also looking at the soft part, the environment, society, and the governance around it. Now things are moving, things are changing. The way we are running our SEs, is there any sustainability plan? So all these things are part of the performance agreement that we are having.
That agreement you have, does it have a way of us also directly dealing with issues of corruption, mismanagement, amongst others that at least we hear.
We work in collaboration with Controller and Accountant General, Audit Committee, and it comes from their report.
Okay.
We even go the step ahead. This year, this is what I did. When I went through the Auditors General's report, those entities that have bigger infractions, we invited them to take them through what is the matter. These are the audit matters that has been raised. To what extent have you resolved them? Some of them, because the issue is 2012, they may have resolved it already, only for them to appear before the Public Accounts Committee, and the impression is created as if they squandered money or they misappropriated. So even reporting of matters of audit queries has a way of dealing with it. As I speak now, on Tuesday, the Office of Government Machinery is inviting central oversight bodies to look at all these audit issues, look at how best to report, look at early signals so as not to get involved. Okay. Because some of them are just about not respecting corporate governance. There are some that you have an entity, they will have their budget. They will even send it to their governing board for approval. They spend money. And these are serious issues.
What's happening to Ghana Water Company? At least I saw the figures that we went through. There are issues about telcos, but these are a lot of issues in this particular report. But Ghana Water, I'm concerned.
It's the same.
The losses over the period.
It's just like ECG. In some of the cases, it is not just profit motive. In some of the cases, they need to keep the water flowing. But that is not to say that we should also allow them not to go through proper procurement and avoid restricted tender. So you realize that we work with PPA as well. Okay. And sometimes disapproving some of these things that deliberately they wait till the last time or last minute and there's an emergency and they have to do restricted.
Is it the losses also that made Vodafone now Telecel? Is that what happened?
It's part of it.
It's a key JVC for you.
Yeah, it's part of it. But the Vodafone group decided not to continue. Okay. They got this Telecel. They've come in. And there are a lot of issues that are being discussed. We have had our emergency general meeting just recently to approve some support and technology around it and all that. So we are working on it, and we believe that there are a lot of issues with them. They owe GRA, they owe some banks and all that. So these are issues that will be looked at. Like how come NT and other private institutions are doing very well? Yes, I can agree that there are a lot of other services that Ghana Telecom or Vodafone provide that they won't take money from. They are fiber optics run by national security and all that. Those ones are. That is why for us as SIGA, it's not just about your losses. So it's about, even if you make loss, let us agree that you are going to make loss and see whether this loss is a loss that is beneficial to the stakeholder, to the consumer, to the citizens of this country.
I think definitely we may have to do this again because there are a lot of companies that we haven't touched on yet, but we are looking forward to the policy forum. Really, how different will this be?
It's more of public enterprise secretariat's activity. And we are partnering them with the Ministry of Finance to bring together stakeholders in the SE space to deliberate on the challenge, like the discussions we are having. We are going to take them one by one. We are going to launch the SOR by Ministry of Finance. We are going to launch the Code of Corporate Governance Code. We'll take them through some of the gaps that we've recognized over the period. We'll be looking at it. We'll be taking lessons amongst ourselves. The president will do the opening address. The vice president will close the address. And we expect a lot of the ministers under this.
We're hoping that you give us your word that we'll do this again, so that at least we can go through the rest of the companies. We're really out of time on this. I don't know what happened to the time, but we have to go.
Performance,
we really have to go.
Performance contract agreement based on expected certainty. Okay. I am not certain.
Is that what we do? Let's get out at this point. Thank you so much. That is Director General of SIGA, Mr. John Boadu, joining us on The Probe. Another exciting edition comes your way. Same time right here. I'll be away for a while, but I'll be back in May. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. A Walk with Jesus is up next for our radio audience. I am MF Papa. Have a good evening.